So this evening, we'll start with looking at some of the new features on the Creation Care scheme. That includes the church dashboards, which are for the nominated church leads for the scheme, the progress indicators, the to-do list, and then commended and highly commended certificates. And all these developments are based on feedback we've had from users of the scheme. So really thank you to everyone who sent in feedback. I really appreciate that people take the time to send us messages and ideas of how we can improve that. And these latest developments are a result of that. We'll then hear from a few people at different churches around how they've used the scheme to engage their congregation. So thank you to people who are willing to share their experiences. And then if we have time, we might have more discussion as well, and possibly breakout rooms. I'm very keen that we keep this to a tight 45 minutes, because I know everybody is busy and has lots to do. So we'll try and finish promptly by 8:15. So tonight's session kind of assumes that you know about the Creation Care scheme. And what I will do is, if this is something that is new to you, I will post links to a couple of videos in the chat that you can find out more about the scheme. So one is a short video that describes the aim of the scheme, and then the other one describes kind of how the website works and how you sign up. So do take a look at those if this is something that's new to you. Otherwise, we'll kind of jump right in with the kind of updates. So the first thing I want to talk about are the church dashboards. So as many of you know, you can, when you register, sign up to the scheme, you can link your household account to a church account if your church is registered on it. And up till now, those nominated church contacts have been getting emails when households linked to their church achieve an award level. But obviously it can be a bit hard to keep track of all those emails, especially if you've got lots of households signed up. And so the dashboards are really to allow those nominated church contacts to have all the information they need in one place, rather than having to keep track of lots of emails. Hopefully, if you are the nominated church contact for the scheme, you'll have received an email about this from Katie or myself recently, telling you about the dashboard. So the dashboard allows you to see all the households who've signed up to the scheme and linked to your church in one place. And you can also see what award level they've reached and when they last accessed the scheme, which might be helpful if you've kind of done a big promotion on it in church. You can see how many people have actually kind of visited since you last pushed it. So to access the scheme, you just log in via the usual login page on the households link. And for some of you, that's the account that you use for your household thing. For some of you who use a separate email address as the nominated church contact, you'll have been given a separate password to log in. Once you've logged in, you will see this new button appear on the households page, Visit Church Dashboard. If you click that, you'll be taken through this page. I've grayed out the names because this is the page for St Paul's Church where I am. So you can see the name and the household name. So that's the name which people put in for what they want on their certificate, and then the award level and the last login. So all that information is in one place. If your church isn't registered with the scheme yet, but you would like to do that as a church, I've put the link to register on the slide, and I will put that in the chat later as well, in case that's helpful. Obviously, you don't have to link your household account to a church, but it's nice where you can take this journey as a church together, and we'll focus a bit on how some churches have been doing that later this evening. So another development that we've introduced are the visual progress indicators. So these, when you've logged into your household account, you can now see how close you are to the boundary of the next award level. Because I think some people before, you could just get the score, but you didn't really know how close that was to the next award. So hopefully having this kind of visual feedback will show you, or in this case, very close to getting gold in worship and prayer. So you might want to go in and spend some time working on that, just to see what you can get to tip you over the boundary. But those visual indicators will update next time you go into each area and save them. You'll get the latest points. Another feature that we've introduced is the to-do list, because we realise there's lots of questions in the questionnaire, and it can be hard to, when you're looking through and filling them all out, to keep track of which are the ones that you want to make progress with. And so what you can do with this is, as you fill in the questionnaire, if you see a question that you want to come back to or do some work on or find out the answer to, is you can click the little pin icon next to each question that you want to add to your list. And then when you get to the bottom of that section of the questionnaire and click save, so you can see there the pin icon, and that's now added to each question. When you go back to your household page, you'll have this new box, which is the view the to-do list. And when you go to that page, you'll see the questions that you've pinned previously when you've gone through the questionnaire. So you can use that as a to-do list. You can click on the button, which will take you to the question in the questionnaire, so you can change it if you've made progress since then. And this feature works using cookies. So to use it, you need to be on the same device that you kind of set your to-do list up on. So it doesn't work across devices. It's just just cookies. And then once you've completed it, so when you go back into the area, the questionnaire area again, you can see the questionnaires you pinned. And then if you want to take that off your to-do list, then you just click that little pin icon again, and that will take it off your to-do list. So before we go on to the next thing, are there any questions about those two features, or those three features that we've added before we move on? Okay. So just as a reminder of the scoring for the Creation Care scheme, much like the Eco Church scheme, you need to get to bronze level in all the 7 areas, or 6 if you don't have a garden, to qualify for a bronze award. And the threshold for that is 25% of the available points in each area. For silver, you need to get to silver level in all of the areas, and for gold, you need to get to gold. What we have realised is that actually gold is really, really hard to achieve. And so we've made a slight tweak to the threshold for that. We've taken it down to 70% because there's so much there. And that will make it hopefully more achievable for people. Obviously, those thresholds, you'll need to go in and access the scheme again and save your questionnaire areas for it to be updated, and you can see if that helps you with reaching gold on those areas. The other thing we found that was some households are doing really well in 5 or 6 areas, but there's just one area that they can't make progress in. They can't reach the level that they want to, and the level that they're reaching in the other areas. And we wanted to find some way to give recognition for the effort that those households are making when they might not necessarily qualify for a gold or silver certificate. So we've introduced commended and highly commended certificates, which is, to qualify for a commended certificate, you need to be achieving silver level in at least 5 of the 7 areas, but not yet qualifying for a silver award overall. And for highly commended, you need to be reaching gold level in at least 5 of the 7 areas, but again, not yet qualifying for gold. Now that sounds a little bit confusing, so I've got some kind of scenarios which will help explain it. So this person, for example, hasn't yet reached bronze level because their worship and prayer area, they're not yet at bronze. But actually, they're doing really well in home and garden and food and possessions and community and global engagement. So they're getting gold or silver for each of those. And so whereas previously they'd get no award, now they can get a commended certificate that's part of that. This household is actually gold level in 5 of the 7 areas, but again, not quite qualifying for a certificate. And so they're highly commended. But you can also be bronze and commended if you're silver in at least 5 of the areas, or bronze and highly commended. where you're gold level in 5 of the 7 areas, or you can be silver level and highly commended, where you're gold in 5 of the 7 areas. And so it's just to recognize those people who are really doing well in lots of areas, but maybe struggling with for whatever reason to achieve gold or silver in 1 or 2 areas. And there are some things which are kind of out of people's control, which might be a reason why they're not able to achieve that. So we wanted to introduce those just to give recognition and encouragement for those households. And again, that's based on feedback we've received so far. Any questions on that? Have I explained it clearly? Okay. So now I wanted to kind of hear from some people from different churches about how they've been using the scheme to engage their church. And I'm not sure if Sue is on the call yet. So we'll start with Alison from All Saints Guildford, if that's okay. Alison, tell us, how have you been using the Creation Care Scheme at your church?
We love it. We absolutely love the Creation Care Scheme. Loving the new features, by the way. It's so helpful having the dashboard, and I think that highly commended is brilliant, particularly for people who don't own their own house, might not be able to do that kind of thing. So I'm going to be telling everyone about it at church, because what we've introduced is 4 times a year we give out certificates, which means in the lead up to that service, for kind of a couple of weeks ahead of that, we can start saying, we're going to be giving out certificates, get back onto your page and see if you can bump up your score just that little bit. We'd love to be able to give you a certificate. So we do we just do that 4 times a year, and it's really lovely to be able to kind of celebrate with everyone. Find that I mean, I have hopes that we will continue to engage our congregation and more people will sign up. But I think it is the kind of thing that really builds a momentum, because people can start to see that it's all possible. And particularly when, you get the bronze awards and lots of people can get them, then it's really lovely. So we've just been loving it. And we haven't got the most awards of all the churches, I'm sure, but we've been really enjoying it.
Thanks, Alison. That's great. I know at St Paul's we found that we have a flurry of uptake just after we've done a service giving out awards. I think people are inspired to see other people are achieving it. So I think that's been really helpful. Thank you. So I'm going to share my slides again, because I've got hold on a minute. I can't talk and do computer stuff at the same time. So the next, hold on. So the next example is from Catherine Willis from Holy Trinity Church in Claygate. And Catherine can't be with us tonight because I think she's just about to get ordained or has just been ordained. So she couldn't join us, but she sent me some text to read out for you. We used the Creation Care Survey with our church last summer as part of a sermon series focusing on the theology of creation care. We invited church members to sign up to the website as an individual or household and work through the survey, and frame this as a way of identifying their own next steps rather than us promoting 1 or 2 applications of the series that are the same for everyone. We promoted it on several consecutive weeks. A good number of households signed up and worked through the survey, although this does still only represent a relatively small percentage of our church. Feedback from those who took part was that it was helpful, but I've not checked in with them to find out how long lasting the learning changes have been. My intention is that we'll bring this round again later this year and aim for once a year or so to remind people to check back in with the survey and see how they're doing and what the next step will be. But I've not yet managed to get around to doing this. The perennial challenge is lots of competing priorities and not enough time to fit everything in. One point of feedback we did receive was that not everyone is online. Some people without internet access felt excluded from the journey we were trying to take everyone on. And so she asked if a printed version would be available. Just to answer that point, because I know it is something that comes up occasionally, we can't really do a printed version because then we'd need somebody to enter the data and come up with the score. The scoring system's not straightforward, and so you couldn't do it as a paper version. But what I've encouraged here at St Paul's to do is, if there are people who struggle with computers, to kind of buddy them up with somebody who can kind of help them complete it online, and then they get that score instantly rather than needing it. So that might be one way that churches can help those people who aren't computer savvy to take part. So I wonder if anybody, I'll just kind of share a few things that we've done at St Paul's as well, which I think have helped with engaging people with the scheme. One thing we've done actually is we've made little awards as well as the certificates, and actually they're just little pieces of laser cut wood that we painted bronze, silver and gold, and we chose an acorn, an oak leaf and an oak tree to represent them. And I think people have enjoyed having something physical as well as a certificate to receive in the congregation, in the services. And like Alison and Catherine, we try and have it twice a year where we give out the awards. But also we've done things like, because this was taking off during lockdown, and we did a lot of content via video. We've done interviews with people where we've gone video interviews where somebody has interviewed somebody who's doing well on the scheme about what they've learned, or what their most surprising thing is, or what what their experience is. We also, as part of our cafe church service did a fun thing where somebody went round and filmed several people's houses who were engaged on a scheme, looking at the kind of eco-friendly things they were doing, and got people to guess whose house that was. So a through the keyhole style video, and that was quite fun. We try and interview different people, so it's not the kind of people at church who are known for being kind of eco champions, but maybe some of the people who you wouldn't expect so much. And so it's, different households. People can see it's not just the weirdo person. It's not just Annabelle doing this. This is like other families who look like my family, or households who look like my household, who are making changes. And like Alison said, giving notice a few weeks before, so people have got time to increase, to go back to the survey and keep engaging with it. And we really do see a kind of flurry of uptake each time we give out awards, new households sign up. So I think having those real life stories about how people are engaging with it is quite encouraging. And I know it's in my own journey of caring for God's creation, seeing other people do stuff has made me think it's possible as well. And so I think that's quite helpful. Does anybody else on the call have any good ideas that they've had for how they've engaged their congregations around caring around the creation care scheme?
We've made our own certificates as well, and so given those out in church, and and sent a thank you email as well. Very much like, I love the idea of the through the keyhole. I'm sorry, Annabelle, I've completely snaffled that idea. We're definitely going to use that one. It's absolutely brilliant.
It was fun. It was. I think another thing you could do, if you were a bit more creative than me, is you could get the kids making the awards or decorating the awards, and I could see that being a craft activity for our cafe church, for example. I've just not quite got organised enough to do that yet. Yeah. Another thing that we could have, I think, in the cafe church service is we could just have some laptops set up so people could register and start filling it in there and then. Because I think it's one of these things. I know some people are sat in the service and done it on their mobile phones when they should have been paying attention to the service. But if we had some time in the cafe church service, kind of gives us that time where it's not always kind of stuff that people are meant to be participating in kind of at the centre.
Actually, that's lovely, isn't it? Because if everyone's around a table, you can get them to do that kind of breakout group type of thing. Even if it's a service, you could sort of say, you know, what do you think you could do, having a look at these questions, which bit do you think, and those who aren't engaged perhaps might just look at it and go, oh yeah, I suppose I could do that. Yeah, that's a really good idea.
I think another thing which some of our home groups have been doing is kind of doing it together as a home group. And so again, having that, using that as part of so we developed some Bible studies on caring for God's creation, and having that as an action as one of the kind of applications of that Bible study series. And again, encouraging each other, and kind of maybe getting a bit of accountability. Okay, from this, what thing are you gonna work on next? I think could be helpful. I don't think every home group's done that, but I think some home groups have looked at that together.
That's lovely. We had discussed, and we haven't put it into action yet, but we had discussed doing it as part of children's church, because very often children will drive this agenda within a family. You know, schools know very much about that you send the message home with the children, and then it starts to behave, you know, alter behavior in their parents. So that's another avenue that we're thinking about. We just haven't got round to it yet.
As ever, there's always lots of things that could be done. If you don't want to speak out, but if anybody's got anything they want to put in the chat, then please feel free to do so. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Does anybody have any questions or comments? So one thing just to close, I must say thank you. These developments to the website were made possible thanks to funding from the Church of England Diocesan Environmental Projects Fund. And so this is an award that was made to the Diocese of Guildford that's enabled us to do this development. And I hope that you will find the new features really helpful. As ever, any feedback on the developments or on the website more generally, or any good ideas you have to share, we're always really happy when we get feedback from people, and we do take note of it, even if it does take us a year or so to get around to finding the money to make changes. We do kind of keep track of all the ideas that get sent through. We've also got the newsletter and the Facebook account, so if anything comes to you later of things that you want to share that you're doing in your church, please do let us know. Our email address is eco@stpaulsdorking.org.uk. Katie and I look after that, so if you've been in touch with us, you'll have heard from one or other of us. We've also got our Facebook page, got a Twitter account, and you can sign up to our monthly email newsletter there, and I'll put that link in the chat for you as well, because I realise having it on a slide means you have to copy it down. So I'm gonna stay on the call for another few minutes if anybody wants to hang around and chat, but feel free to go if you've got tennis to get on with watching or other things to do this evening. But thank you very much for attending, and I really appreciate all that you're doing in your church communities to care for God's creation. So thank you.